All right, thank you very much for joining us. This is Serious Matters on ONIF TV. My name is Olukunle Abraham. All right, well, it's Serious Matters again, and then of course, whenever we come on here like this, it has to be that there is something to discuss. And when it is coming from the mouth of somebody like Fani-Kayode, then of course it must be serious matters. All right, Fani-Kayode has come up with this one. He says, "Who are these obedients? They are everywhere." Several news. There is no day without the obedience. There is no day going by without talking about the obedience. So let's look at this, what he had to say. And it's very, very catchy and very, very interesting. He said that, "Let me make this clear from the onset. I am a member of the APC and a supporter of Asiwaju Tinubu. So this contribution does not in any way derogate from that, and my analysis is more of an academic and intellectual exercise than anything else." I think the 2023 election, it's more than just choosing a leader. It is a change of gear for the nation, for the pace at which the nation is moving. There is going to be a change, in gear for, higher speed. Okay, let's go straight to business. Let's look at what he had to say. He said, "I'm not a supporter of Peter Obi and I have no intentions of becoming one." Now, this is somebody who has jumped from one party to the other. He's somebody who was a strong critic, a strong critic of the APC, of the President Muhammadu Buhari administration, but eventually, got into the party, and apparently he is in the APC. Okay, he said, "I am, however, interested on what his supporters represent and stand for, and that is the subject of this particular editorial." He said, "They are worthy of my attention only because their rise and relevance in the political configuration of our nation, just in a matter of weeks, is meteoric and phenomenal. It's obedience everywhere." I saw in the news earlier on today, a young man somewhere in Bauchi State opened a car wash and is offering free car wash for both, I think both Fridays and Sunday, Wednesdays and Friday, in support, in love for Peter Obi. So we are getting, the obedience is getting the attention of practically the majority. Let me not say everybody, but then they are getting the attention of so many. And if the attention of somebody like Fani-Kayode could be caught, then of course we are getting the attention of so many. Look at the other candidates, how they are trying to have meetings upon meetings, and I mean, let's look at it from different perspectives and see what do you feel about this. Now, Fani-Kayode said, "In order to counter and defeat them, or to keep them in their place, we must at least attempt to understand them and figure out how their minds work." Figure out how their minds work. Now, he said, these followings are my findings. These are my findings. That those that are the supporters of Peter Obi, the Labour Party presidential candidate, are known as obedient, and they are everywhere. They are everywhere. Whether you talk about the south, southeast, southwest, northeast, northwest, north central, west, east, they are everywhere, practically everywhere. And I believe that that's what you need to win elections in Nigeria. You must be known everywhere. You must have a presence everywhere. Now, he said those of us in the larger political parties like the ruling APC and the opposition PDP treat them with contempt and ignore them at our own peril. They are treating the obedience with kid gloves. They keep saying they are just on the social media. It doesn't matter. And from my own experience, I have discovered that people who get martyred are people who say it doesn't matter. And so what they say doesn't matter eventually mattered them. And then they begin to look back and say, oh, I wish I handled these things without kid gloves. Now, the truth, according to Fani-Kayode, is that they are far more dangerous to our collective cause as a ruling class than many of us can possibly conceive or appreciate. And the truth, that is the truth of the matter. That is the truth of the matter. If we all continue to say, oh, they are just social media votes, they are just, you know, like when the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party came on here in channels, said they just have this presence on here on social media, you know, what happened in Oshun, and then, you know, where is the labor, you know, in that and all of that. You know, from the way he was talking, you discover that he wasn't as if he wasn't bothered about Peter Obi was not a threat. You know, that's the way he sounded. But look at somebody, an intellectual person. You know, I'm not saying that every other person is not intelligent, but this person is looking at it from a more, you know, reasonable perspective. He said only the discerning can appreciate this and know precisely where this whole thing may be heading to. It's interesting. Now, he came up to say that they may not have structures or elected representatives in the legislative and executive arms of government, but they have ideas and vision coupled with a clear ideological and philosophical bench which can and will endure for far longer than mere political platforms and structures. And that's very, very interesting. You remember Peter Obi said, look, they said I don't have structure, but the people are my structure, don't he? And you know, I saw one of those videos where somebody said, look, let's waste our vote on the one who does not have structures. I think we have voted for the one who has structures and we didn't get results. So it's time for us to vote for one who does not have structures, and let's see the difference. People's minds are made. And you know, I think the prayer of so many is that they should continue to handle the issue of obedience with kid gloves and just keep saying it doesn't matter, nothing will happen, they cannot do anything, you know that kind of thing. Then they will eventually see that, oh, really, you mean these guys really did exist? And you know what I'm talking about. So, but then what did he say? He said, unknown to them as well as virtually everyone else, therein lies their power. That's in the power of the ideas and visions. As they say, an idea whose time has come cannot be stopped. This man seemed to be speaking in parables, so seriously. Long after we are all gone, they will still be here, because structures and political alliance rarely endure, but ideas and visions last forever. Again, they will outlive and outlast us all, because they are not a political party in the true sense of the word, but rather a growing national movement which scales and spreads across ethnic, religious, political, and regional lines and traditional boundaries. I love this. Very interesting. And that's the truth. This is somebody, and maybe Fani-Kayode is beginning to see from the angle of a pastor, or is using the eyes of the spirit to see the things that are happening on this or in the other part of the world, and now bringing them into this world. He wants to enlighten the people in his party, but I don't know if they are listening. I don't know if they are seeing these things that he is saying. You know, he is saying that obedience is not a political party. It's stronger than a political party. It's a movement. A movement will always outlive and outshine political parties. They might not have structures. Like somebody said, he said even if he becomes president, somebody said even if Obi becomes president, they will impeach him because he doesn't have, Labour Party does not have representatives. And Peter Obi has come out to say, don't worry, let me become president first, and you will see if I will govern this country without having, you know, a single candidate in the Labour Party, from the Labour Party, in the House of Representatives or in the Senate. He said they also represent a generational and paradigm shift, which is increasingly attractive to many, and they are bound tightly together by a common purpose, common cause, and common objective, namely to rid Nigeria of the old order and usher in the new one. And that is the objective. That's the objective, and that is to say that I've said also, I've said it in one of my videos before, several of my videos before, that even if Peter Obi does not deliver the trim out, he will get out. He will be removed. the same strength with which he is being used to bring to power or brought to power will be the same strength with which he will be thrown out. Oh, you say, for how long do we want to? We will continue to do until we get the best person for the job. What is needed at this time is a paradigm shift. Like Fani-Kayode just said, it's a paradigm shift from the norm to the, from the usuals, from the norms, from, what we used to know, to what things, are supposed to be and what they really are to be. Now, that is really what they want to do, and that is the primary and strongest source of their aspiration and motivation. He said they are far more dangerous to what the French describe as the ancient regime, the old political class and the entire system itself, than anything we have ever seen, because most of them bar their leaders. And a small handful of political tried and tested veterans and old war horses around him are not politicians and have never ventured anywhere near the political arena or the circles of power. In the main, they are an innovatively aggressive and fruitful array, an association of angry and determined young men and women who clearly have the courage of their victorious convictions, and coupled with the audacity, fury, daring, rage, and firm resolve of those that were involved in the NSAS protest of 2020. And that brings back to mind, how NSAS erupted and what it brought about, in the country. Yes, it had a bad side. It had its the damage inside. Yes, a lot of things, a lot of properties were destroyed. But I think there were marks on the sands of time. And it's also talked about the furious foot soldiers that effected the Russian Bolsheviks revolution of 1917, led by Vladimir Ilyich Lenin. There is also something Rollingesic and intimidating about them. That's Rollingesic. Don't mind that. That's grammar. That one are grammar. Now really Jerry Rawlings. Yes, the late Jerry Rawlings. You remember in Ghana. Leave that one. You know what he was trying to say. Now, he said that is to say they are similar in disposition to the late great and mighty son of Africa and leader of Ghana, President Jerry Rawlings, who led a successful revolution in his country in 1979, and who, on his second coming in 1981, when he toppled yet another government, said, "If there is no justice in Ghana, then there shall be no peace." And of course, it brought about a paradigm shift in the leadership and governance in Ghana. Now, that is the spirit that is in the obedience, and that is what moves them. Yet, though they do not like to hear it, their chances of winning the presidential election next year, short of a miracle, are very slim, and deep down they all know it, even if they refuse to publicly acknowledge it. Despite that, they are determined to fight to the end, hope for the best, work hard, and they give it their best shot. And of course, therein lies their victory. Of course, therein lies their big victory. Now, many might feel that, like he just said, in the regular sense of it, yes, the chances of winning an election, the Nigerian way, that used to be the normal way things are being done in Nigeria, or elections are being held in Nigeria, which of course I believe already have started taking a paradigm shift in the positive direction, looking at what happened in Osun State. Yes, we still have President Muhammadu Buhari at the helm of affairs in this country, and yet, APC lost in Osun, to the PDP. And that's to say that the voice of the people is beginning to be heard. It's being heard already. Now, in this game, courage is the key. According to Fani-Kayode, he says, as they say, he who dares win. Again, as they say, fortune favors the bold. And these young people are both daring and bold. Now, that they can challenge the status quo and vie for the sacred and awesome power that has been shared by the two major political parties, or their ancestral predecessors and variants over the last 62 years, is commendable in itself. I'm not part of them, but I certainly commend and applaud their efforts. So, like I'd always say, that attention, getting the attention of people goes a very long way. Now, the obedient is getting the attention of so many. Now, it says, they too have a right to fight for their rights and future and to be heard. They too have a dream and a story to tell, and we must never begrudge them that. Yet, if the truth be told, they are not only interested in winning an election, but perhaps even more importantly, they are interested in making a profound, eloquent, and defiant statement, registering their protest against the status quo and the powers that be, and triggering and engendering a full-scale, comprehensive, and all-embracing social, cultural, and political revolution. That is the key. That is the key. So I believe that he is speaking, profoundly from the angle of from the angle of an intellectual educationist. He said they want a real and fundamental change and not a fake one. And that's what you see in the obedience today. He said they want to pull the whole house and system down with everyone in it and rebuild a new one in their own image, with their own values and on their own terms. And that's exactly what's going to happen in the year 2023. That's the election. That's what's going to happen come 2023. Now, most importantly, of all, they want to see the back of those of us that are in any way associated with the old order, or that have been in government or the corridors of power at any point in time over the last 62 years. We want those things, those set of people from all handwritings on the wall of the obedient. They do not want to see them. Now, you might say, but Peter Obi has been in power at one point or the other. Well, does he have to be the one? And those are questions that will come to mind. Now, that desire and sentiment is the force that is driving and propelling them, and that is kindling their fire and swelling their ranks. Now, let's look at this very, very closely. He said they are like the Robespierre and the Marats of the bloody French revolutions between 1789 and 1799, whose battle cry was liberty, equality, and fraternity, who brought an end to the French monarchy, royal family, and nobility, chopped off their heads, and established a proud and strong new one, and fledged a fledgling and unique republic, like Robespierre, tiny cabal of French revolutionaries. They are led by a small cell of intellectuals and idealistic hardliners, and are bolstered, guarded, and supported by a volatile, massive, increasingly dangerous support group and power base who threaten violence and all insult at their perceived detractors at the drop of a hat, and as a consequence of years of pent-up anger and frustration. It's all bottled up, caged up. It's like a bottle that has a drink inside that is gaseous, and you've been shaking and shaking and shaking. It's looking for a way of escape, and that's exactly what you're expecting to see with this movement called the Obedient. Now, if they are ever listen to what he now said in closing of this particular, shall I call it an essay. Now, look at what he said. He said, now listen to this part, this is a concluding part. Now, he said, if they ever get power, many heads will roll. And many of today's and yesterday's leaders will run into exile or go into hiding. I think that's one of the reasons why they don't want them, why they don't want the Obedient to come in. Now, listen to the rest. He said, this is especially so of those who have something to hide, or who have skeleton in their cupboard. That is what makes them so threatening, and I repeat, those of us, you see, he keeps saying us, that are in the larger political parties, or that are members of the existing and ancient ruling class, underestimate them, ignore them, and display disdain for their firm resolve and rising anger at our own peril. He said, most of my political associates, friends, and colleagues across party lines tend to dismiss them with contempt. They regard them as being inconsequential and argue that they only exist on social media. You know, article has come online to say that they only exist on social media too. He even went on to say that the people on his own side, more than 90% of them are not on social media. And I said a majority of us, I said to myself, can you imagine? And you have been there. A majority of people are not on social media. They are not internet, you know, connected. So you can see the mindset. He now said, he said, I beg to differ. I see them in the streets and I see them in the churches. I see them amongst my staffs and amongst those that regard themselves as being amongst the oppressed and downtrodden. I see them amongst the professionals and those that are bankers, lawyers, doctors, artisans, artists. I see them in the north, west, south, and east. I see them everywhere and not only on social media. Now, I see them as being a very powerful and potent rising force, which, if probably or properly managed, would develop into a major political power over the next few years with a strong ideological and electoral foundation and massive structures. That is the potential that they have, and that is how dangerous they can be. So the obedient can be very dangerous if not managed properly. And I mean, from what we have heard, it means that they're gonna. The danger is a positive danger anyway. You know, danger could be positive. You know, now it's negative for those who are not in support of, you know, progress and, you know, change. I mean, original change, not false change. Is Fani-Kayode also trying to point fingers at some people, you know, who said they were going to bring change to us, and, you know, things never change? Well, as a clause, he said, the sooner those of us that are in the larger political party get off our horses, high horses, display a little humility, try and understand their mindsets, reach out to them, take them more seriously, appreciate their anger, restore their hope, make the necessary concessions, and try and abate their rage and rising anger, the better it is for us all. They may not have today, but if we do not play our cards right, they may end up having tomorrow. May God help us. Now, the tomorrow that he's talking about, well, I didn't say he meant 2023, but then that's the tomorrow that we what else? That's the tomorrow that is now, I mean, that is glaring at the moment. You know, so but then let's see how things unfold. Let's see how things you know, become, you know, because like I would always say, the obedient, not be small matter, or things could change. And well, I guess these guys have something to offer. Well, what's your opinion on this particular matter? Let's hear what you have to say. Drop a comment, make them simple and simple, and of course, like our videos and also make your comments, opinions. We're very open to them. Thank you very much for watching, and also very importantly, share our videos with others. Thank you very much for watching. My name once again is Olukunle. Bye bye.